What did Francis do in the war?
He was called a sapper in the Royal Engineers, and his job was to go along the front lines. He had a horse with a lot of cable on it, and he was laying telephone lines for the different areas with the trenches so that people could get in touch with each other. So it was quite a dangerous job right on the front. Some of you may have seen pictures of War Horse, have you?
Yeah.
Well, they had a big horse like that which he walked along with all the heavy cable on it that he was putting down. He was in the Royal Engineers, which was a separate branch of the army.
What happened to him?
Well, in 1917, Germans were sending gas bombs over, which had some very nasty mustard gas in it. It was a sort of yellowy gas, which affected people's lungs and could kill them. And he was in this gas attack, and his lungs were badly affected. And so he was taken from the front line into a field hospital. They used to have little hospitals behind the line where doctors could look at the people who were injured and decide whether they could make them better there or whether they'd be sent home to England. And in fact, he was sent home to England. You might be interested to see, when he was injured, this was tied onto him. Now that's nearly 100 years old, that little envelope. That was tied onto him, and inside it was a little note from the doctors. And this said, it's not very easy to read because doctors' writing isn't always very good, you may know. They do difficult writing, so we can't read it. It said, 5 hours after gas, eyes burned, rather sore throat and cough. And also, I can't read the first bit of it, it says conjunctivitis. That's something that's perhaps nasty to your eyes. And in fact, he was blinded, and he was blind, I'm not sure how long, but for quite some weeks, I think he was blinded. And then there's something else on the back, and it tells what medicine he was given. Again, it's difficult. Sodium bicarbonate was given. That was to drink, I suppose, because that was against the gas. Anyway, that was tied to him. And then the ship, the name of the ship was the Hut 1, and it's got that little note on it there, Hut 1. And the date, it says on the back, the 2nd of the 10th of 17. So that was the 2nd of October he was sent back. He was gassed on the 30th of September and was put in a ship to send home. And on the back it just says, gas shell, to say what had happened to him.
Did your father get conscripted?
No.
So did he go to war with some of his friends?
Yes, he did. Sadly, only one of his friends I knew when I was a child came back, and he'd been injured. He wasn't gassed, but he was injured. But my father's best friend was killed, so his memorial is in the Memorial Garden in Lichfield where they lived.
Did your father choose to go to war? Did he want to go to war, or did he do it for his country?
He did it for his country. I don't think anybody. At first, a lot of the people thought it was going to be fun, I think, and all joined up because they thought, oh, this is a great thing to do, we'll go and play guns. And it wasn't like that. So I don't think that later on, of course, he didn't really want to fight at all because he didn't like fighting. Yes?
Was he in the first big explosion?
No, I don't think so. But he did tell me once that when the Germans were shelling them and the shells and bombs were coming over the lines, they never seemed to land in the same hole. So if you were near a hole, you got into it quickly. And he said, if you started shelling, you'd jump into a hole that was already there, because that was a hope that the next one wouldn't land in the same place. Yes?
What was it like when your dad had problems with his lungs?
Well, he suffered badly from a cough all the time. After the war, I think it took him a long time to get better. He was in hospital. He was brought home to England, and he was in hospital in Bedford for quite some time. Yes.
How many of your dad's friends went to the war?
I think all of them, most all of them did, because that was the age, you know, they all had to go. Yes?
Did your dad get a lot of medals?
Well, I'll show you his medals, and you can have a look at these afterwards. I'll pass them around. That was his cap badge from the Royal Engineers, and that was his shoulder tag, which says Signal Service. Do you want those? I'll put them out somewhere. Now, the interesting thing, in the First World War, these are his 2 First World War medals in France, and everybody had their name put round the outside. If you look very closely, it's printed round here. It says Pioneer FWC Long, RE, Royal Engineers. And those are the 2 wartime medals. That one is his Second World War medal for being in the Home Guard.